before anything else, welcome to another episode of the Bigote Brothers podcast.
Welcome.
We gotta be in the zen-like atmosphere before we talk about our Lakers. First of all, my man, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. Healthy baby boy.
A lot of sleepless nights so far, but it's been fun. It's been a while since I've had a kid, so you know. But
Yep.
a lot. That's not really. That's even a good headache, really. The bad headache is what we're about to discuss. But before we go there, let's see what's going on in the playoffs right now. With the rest of the league, we still have to watch the game. I actually been enjoying watching the game a lot because I really can't sleep recently, so I've been watching a lot more basketball. So let's start with that. So Indiana just beat the Breaks out of Milwaukee 4-1. I didn't expect that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Indiana 1-5, and did you see what happened in the last game?
Yeah. Giannis and Tyrese's dad.
Yeah,
He's still going at it.
Giannis got into it with some of the Pacers, and then Halliburton's dad came out of nowhere and just talked shit. Imagine. I mean, Halliburton's dad isn't a big guy. He's a small guy, really.
He's probably
but Giannis is 6'10" or something. And then obviously
he does. I'll give him that. He does look like an OG though.
But he doesn't want. He don't want to do that, man. It's just look. It's the thing. The thing I see about this, and this is probably one of the things that people were getting on LeVar Ball's case about.
Right.
Is that this is your kid's moment, right? So they've progressed through the playoffs now. They beat a good team, and now they are going into the second round. All everybody can talk about is that you're basically upstaging your own son.
Yep.
And for his credit, Tyrese is essentially apologized for him anyway. But it's not something that you want to see. If you're, I mean, not really. Your parent just coming in and doing that, it's not a good thing you want to see, right?
Yeah.
But did you see Giannis's face when they were beaten?
Yep.
I think he's gone. Do you think?
Yeah.
I think Giannis is gone. I think this is the time that Giannis is leaving Milwaukee. What do you think?
Right. Mm-hmm. It's like they were saying, like it's just unfortunate that if he leaves, that's the last image you see of him in a Bucks uniform, like he's going.
Well, to be fair, I didn't really expect him to last this long.
Mm-hmm.
I remember they had Jabari Parker, right, and then that was kind of when Jabari Parker and Brandon Jennings were still there,
right.
And Giannis was just the new draft pick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you didn't really expect him to stay that long because Milwaukee's been a shit, a dumpster fire for a while. Apart from,
the
Bud,
championship,
Yeah, I mean, Bud wasn't even the best coach until. You remember they almost lost in the conference finals, and then in game one of the finals, Giannis essentially I think got injured in that final series, and I think Bud would have been fired if they didn't win.
Yeah.
But they did, and here we are. So I think the Giannis era in Milwaukee is coming to an end, but it did last longer than everyone would have thought. So we probably want to talk about that, where he's going, but let's save that for another day because that's a long discussion.
Yeah.
So they're gonna face Cleveland, which essentially whipped the asses of the Heat. I thought that the Heat could at least get one here.
No,
to be honest.
Yeah.
But it was just bad.
Yeah.
In that last game, they were down really big, and you can see that Miami's, I think, is due for a rebuild as well. They have, I mean, look, Bam is a good player, Hero is a good player, but apart from that, I mean, they don't really have that star, right? I mean, after losing Jimmy, they're just not that team. Spoken coach his ass off, but I don't think that's gonna be enough when we're talking about a Miami Heat team that's gonna contend in the East, right?
Right.
So the next series are the Knicks basically.
Ooh,
I enjoyed
this
watching this
this
series.
was a great. This is a great series.
It
Yeah,
it, it reminded me of old school basketball for some
yeah.
reason.
Hmm.
But the Knicks came through 4-2 against the Detroit
There's
Pistons.
this one. There's this one clip from that series where that what game? What game was that? Where they broke out into a fight? Was that game 4 or 5?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Pistons have been gotten in fights for the whole season.
Yeah, like a whole melee ensued, and I think it was in the palace, and then Isaiah Stewart was injured, and he was the camera focused on Isaiah Stewart, and he's like, you can see in his face like I want to be in the middle of that so bad.
That guy's a new Ron Artest Ben Wallace archetype, right?
Yeah,
He always
tough.
gets in fights.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, there's a reason why they call him Beef Stew, right?
yeah,
So he's just gonna get in fights. I love Detroit though. I
yeah.
think Detroit being good is a good thing.
Mhm.
I'm happy that they're actually good again,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to what they do next year.
Mhm.
Obviously, Cade Cunningham has really taken a step forward,
Mhm.
and
It's
dude,
just it's really built in their in the city's culture. They're hard, they're blue collar. They're gonna work, and
yeah,
they're gonna fight.
for some reason it kind of feels that way. It kind of
Yeah,
has, it kind of feels
that
like a
grit.
combination of the bad
That
boys
grit.
and
Yeah,
yeah. So they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of young talent, and
hmm
I mean, look, this guy's living for this team.
yeah,
They played a
hmm
great series. I didn't expect them to win 2 games here, but they
hmm
did, and they can hang their hats to the fact that they really outperformed everybody
hmm
out of everybody's expectations this year. So I'm looking forward to that.
yeah,
Detroit basketball is back. I would say
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
finally
yeah.
back.
True Bad Souls back. Yeah,
Well, Knicks and Boston is going to be the Knicks. So Boston
yeah,
just steamrolled
hmm
Orlando 4 to
right.
1, and this is going to be. I think this is going to be the best series in the second round. If you know what I mean,
Knicks Celtics. Oh,
Knicks and Celtics.
yeah.
This is two historic franchises.
Yep.
So what do you think? What do you think is going to happen there? This is obviously going to be a battle of defense versus offense now.
Yeah. Uh, I think at the end of the day, Boston with their championship experience and their shooting are still gonna advance. But um, I'm thinking the series is gonna go 7. So
7?
yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. I would be
yep,
as long. I hope that everyone's really healthy.
yeah,
If anything, New York can withstand the offense of Boston. They
yep,
have their own shooters. They have their own grit and grind players,
hmm
and I think it all gonna comes down to whoever's gonna make the most stops.
yeah.
Really, because
Even
we know
with the
Boston's
Celtics,
gonna live
they
and
can,
die by the three.
they can play. They can. Man, the Celtics can play defense too. They're pretty solid as well on the
Yeah,
defensive end. So we'll see how like Jalen Brunson responds, Carl Anthony Towns, those guys. Which I think the Knicks in that Pistons series, like they were clicking. They were just clicking. But you know, Boston is gonna be a tougher team, more experienced. You have Jason Tatum is always like them in the playoffs. Those two, J and J, they're gonna give them a run for their money. So it's gonna be exciting to see how Boston how they respond to that, the defense and the grit that New York has.
what I hope is that, and I've seen this in multiple series so far, is that they've kind of allowed a little bit more physicality.
Mm,
And
yeah.
if
Mhm.
that holds true for this series, I think New York has a decent chance of winning here.
Right. Yeah.
The way they play defense and the way they
Uh-huh.
can frustrate people, I don't think they will have an answer for Tatum, obviously.
Mhm. No.
But they have a good roster of defensive players as well. So as
Right.
long as OG and Josh Hart are
Yeah.
locked in
Uh-huh.
defensively, I think the Knicks have a fighting chance here.
Right.
I I, I will still give the edge to Boston,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks actually end up taking a couple of games and maybe even stretching this to 6 or 7. To be honest,
Right.
Tibbs is just such a good coach for that. I'm just worried about the
Yeah.
exhaustion factor here.
True. True. Yeah.
All right, so they're gonna be chasing a lot of shooters around, and Tibbs
Mhm.
really likes to play his starters to the ground. So I'm not sure
Right.
how long they can keep that up, but if they can, I think they have a good chance.
Mm. I mean, they're really not as they're really not as deep. They're not. They're probably like what eight people deep. Um, Game 6 played only three of the three reserves, and only Mitchell Robinson and Miles McBride like played like double digit minutes. So I don't know. Yeah, you're right. They're gonna be facing a team that likes to move the balls. To make that extra pass. How are they gonna be chasing that with 8 players?
It's gonna be a fun series. I
Yeah.
think this is gonna be the most entertaining one that we're gonna get.
Right.
At least it's not gonna be the most, because most of these series that we're gonna be talking about next year are a little bit lopsided. So the next one is OKC and Denver. So the Denver Clippers game just finished,
Yeah.
maybe an hour or two ago.
Mhm.
I was watching that, and if you managed to watch it, Russell Westbrook played a great game.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
Russell Westbrook played a great game. I'm gonna say that again. He does. He's obviously not Russell Westbrook in OKC, but
Uh,
he was good for them. He's one of the reasons why they won.
right.
He just out hustled people, and he just played with that energy that
They won by 19. Okay.
Yeah, it was they were down big. The Denver was up big really, so it was just eventually the Clippers.
All five starters in double figures.
Yep, it was a more
And
balanced
Westbrook
effort.
off the bench, 16 points. Wow.
Yeah, Jokic was offensively on his game today,
Yeah.
but the team was just playing very well, and I'm
Wow.
a bit surprised really, given the coaching change.
Yeah.
But what I wasn't surprised at is that Harden disappeared again. Really,
Oh yeah.
he choked. He choked.
Yeah.
That's playoff Harden is back, baby, and
Playoff
it's not good
Harden
for the
is back.
Clippers. So now we have one more series to discuss. Obviously, we're gonna go to the main event soon. But
Yeah.
okay, listen. So the next one is gonna be Houston and Golden State. It's another Game 7 happening tomorrow. So obviously it's gonna be played in Houston, and I don't know if you've been watching this series, but Houston has really defended Curry very well. If you
Yeah.
ask me.
Yeah.
So we know that the Warriors are limited. They don't have a lot of scoring. They don't have a lot of shot created apart from Curry.
Right.
So they've been fully dependent on Steph and
Yeah.
Jimmy. And if Jimmy's off, it's going to be harder for Steph to
It's
just
gonna be
carry the
hard.
team.
If because he's like legitimately the only second option that they have right now, just because they're limited.
Don't get me wrong. I like Jimmy. I've always loved
Yeah.
Jimmy, and I think he's a great addition to this team. But when this team lost Clay, I think it's over. I think
Yeah.
that's the identity that they have. And Podziemski's done a great job, but he's no Clay.
He's not Splash Brother.
It's not as cash as he was. And Buddy Hield, as we've seen, is so inconsistent now.
Yeah.
It's just this is the Golden State that we know. The
Yeah.
only thing we know is Curry's there. That's it.
Mhm.
So they got Jimmy for I think 2 years more after this, and after that, I think that's probably it. This is definitely we're witnessing really the last moments of the greatness of
Talk
Steph
about
Curry.
a
And
very short a very small window before.
they have a very small window. And
Yeah,
I gotta say, I'm gonna
before
miss
Curry
Steph when he's
hangs
gone.
it
I
up,
think
yeah.
watching him has been really fun.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest. The Warriors are actually my second team, just because I have a lot of family in the Bay
San
Area.
Francisco, yeah.
So I grew up rooting for them, and I'm still gonna root for them, obviously.
Yep.
And obviously now that let's move on to the next topic. Now that the Lakers are gone, so we said, look.
Yeah.
In all fairness, we said Lakers in 5, and that's exactly what happened.
That's actually what happened.
They
Yeah.
just lost in 5. They lost. So how about let's start? You want to do a recap of this one?
Rudy Gobert just made it. We just made Rudy Gobert look like Shaquille O'Neal in Game 5. 27
like a legit center.
24 rebounds. And people have been talking smack about his game in
Yep.
Minnesota.
Deservedly
He's
so,
been
though.
so inconsistent.
Yeah.
As like what happened to like the Stifle Tower. Like from when he was with Utah. Like he's just been so inconsistent with the Timberwolves. But then he shows up and magically, like, they don't have an answer for it. I mean, granted that we don't have a legit center, but man, he just looked like Shaquille O'Neal out there. you know?
Look, I think we knew that this. I knew we all knew that this was probably one of the harder opponents in the first round that we're gonna get.
Right.
I think it was either this or Golden State,
Yeah.
right? So the lack of a center really killed the Lakers, and we knew that coming in, obviously. But dude, we didn't know how trash Jackson Hayes was. Really,
That exposed.
he was.
Yeah.
Luca made him look good for a couple of games, a couple of
Right.
weeks, but he was essentially unplayable.
Yeah.
There were
That's how little trust JJ had with him as the lone center. He just the fact that I know JJ's gonna get a lot of he's gonna get a lot of flack for not not subbing. That lineup of LeBron, Austin, Luca, DFS, and Rui. He's gonna get a lot of shit for that.
Yeah,
But that
certainly
just
so.
shows, like, I mean, he knows what he's doing. You remember that he just walked out of that press conference. It's like, what do you think I'm? What do you think I'm inexperienced?
I love
He
JJ,
knows.
man. I love
That's just
JJ. Yeah,
that's just how little faith he has in like whatever bigs we currently have on the team right now, and it's just sad.
yeah. There were so many instances that I would just literally scream at my TV just for Jackson Hayes to stay down.
Yeah,
This is kind of he has that same problem that I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here, but it's kind of the same kind of defensive style that Kai Soto has as well. So I don't know if you watch a lot of Kai Soto games, but they're both really look. First of all, Kai Soto can block shots, right? We all know
Yeah.
that that's one of his strengths, defense.
Yeah.
The problem with Kai Soto is, and this is the same with similar problem with Jackson Hayes, is that they don't have a discipline to stay down really.
no,
So they usually just pump on fakes.
Yeah.
They're going for the block most of the time. So
it's
if
it's more than that. Like yeah, go for the block but you gotta stay down. Like it's going for the block is like how I think like if you're like playing one or two and all you do is go for the steal, but you're not in position. That's pretty much what happens.
yeah, it's the same thing. So
Yeah.
they both like to go for blocks, and obviously with that in play, you tend to jump more, right? You tend to bite on fakes more.
Yeah.
You tend to follow shots more, and the problem there is that Jackson Hayes, let's face it, apart from probably Rudy, Jackson Hayes has a large swing span, right? The best thing you can do in that situation is just to keep your hands up on defense. Really,
Yeah,
this is the same problem with Kai Soto, right?
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting with this. So Kai Soto has a tendency of not putting his hands up on defense. He just tries to, stay in front of
Right.
his opponent and just tries to time the block.
yeah,
Same with Jackson Hayes here, and the problem is the probability of you getting a block is much lower than you trying to affect the shot, and that's what you should be
to
doing,
affect the shot. Yeah, yeah,
right? You just want to stay down, put your hands up, and if you
Yeah.
do jump
If
vertically.
you're able to block, then yeah, get
Right.
the block. Yeah,
There's so many plays where Jackson Hayes just bites on a fake or just tries to switch over to someone who drives and just jumps forward or with his hands tilted forward. That's an
Yeah.
automatic foul.
if you're going up against a more disciplined offensive player who has all the up and under fakes, like Julius Randle. Oh my goodness, like he's gonna if you're gonna bite on every shot fake, then that's it. you've pretty much given up what 15, 20 points already on possessions where you know you could have you could have altered the shot just by putting your hands up and staying down. You know, so I mean, yeah, it was just so happens that he was very undisciplined on defense. He's going up against very, very skilled and very disciplined offensive players. So they just had their way with him.
It's
And this is the thing, before the series started, we talked about this the last time we were on. We talked about this. Like we were saying, like, oh, all we have to do is shut down Ant-Man, and we pretty much have a handle of the series. Bro, Naz Reid's making shots. Nickel Alexander Walker's making shots. KJ McDaniels making shots. Julius Randle making shots. Gobert playing solid defense. Like, man, like at the end of the day, like you look at it, on paper we're the better team, but on the court we lost to a better team.
Well, it really doesn't help that prior to the series starting, everybody was saying Lakers in 5, really,
Yeah.
and no one really gave the Wolves a chance. But
No one.
if you look at the historical numbers, okay, the Lakers have always had trouble with these specific Wolves.
Right.
Even in the playing games, I remember they had trouble with this, the physicality and the length of this. And we're gonna go to this specific player later, but I just want to concentrate on a specific one now, and I just want to give a shout out to Julius Randle now. So
Yeah.
we know that Julius was probably he's the first draft pick. I think he's the first lotto pick that they had
Yeah.
after Bynum, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah, so Julius is
It was
number
him, and that was
7.
D'Lo, that was Ingram.
Yeah, so Julius started that whole rebuild.
Yeah.
He's the first one that, this is gonna be the dude we're gonna build around.
Yeah.
And Julius, I've always loved Julius, by the way, and I always will have love for the young core of the Lakers, and it just seemed that Julius was on a revenge tour. He wanted to shit on the Lakers because the way he left the Lakers wasn't a good thing. He was just let go.
Yeah.
They essentially ditched him because they were
Yeah.
bringing in LeBron and all that stuff. So I don't think he had a fair shake. I remember they even had that problem because Luke Walton was benching him.
Yeah.
He didn't want to put him in the starting lineup when he should have.
And again, this is one we can save for another what if. What if we kept that young core?
I want to talk about that.
I've been like thinking about that. Like if we kept that young core.
We can talk. I want to talk about that. Yes, let's save that. Let's save that. But
save that, yeah.
I think Julius just had a lot of pent up aggression, and he wanted to let it out in the worst way against the Lakers, and he did. That's what he did.
Yeah.
On defense, on offense, he was disciplined. He was playing. The main problem with him is that he always plays out of control.
Yeah.
He always just bulldozes through.
Yeah.
And just thinks about himself. He's a selfish player. He wasn't. He was great.
No.
They wouldn't have gotten here without him putting pressure on the Lakers defense. That's how they got here.
Mm-hmm.
So, shout out Julius Randle, great
Yeah.
job. Shout out to Mike Conley who got that great block. He got that block on LeBron.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
And Anthony Davis, man, what can I say? Everyone say he's the bastard son of Jordan, and after this, you really can't deny it. Okay, he was great. He was great in the series.
Yeah.
And obviously Naz Reid, we said that he was going to be an X factor in this series, and he was. That's what
definitely.
I think. There was a metric where the Lakers only had probably single-digit bench points, and they were all outscored by Naz Reid.
Yeah.
On the other side, there was.
Yep.
He's just a backbreaker, and that he's the way that Minnesota was putting pressure on the offense and Randall, and just getting open shots for everybody else. That was, that was it. They hunted Luka. That's what they did. They hunted Luka, and they took advantage of the fact that the Lakers have no interior defense,
Right.
and they used their length and their athleticism to slow the Lakers down, and that's how they got this 4-1 win, really. So they're off to face whoever wins this Houston Golden State game tomorrow.
Right.
I'm guessing it's Houston. But
Yeah.
as I mentioned, the athleticism and the length of the Wolves, I don't think that athleticism and length bothered anyone on the Lakers more than one specific man.
Oh.
They definitely bothered. Ready for this?
Yep.
Right? I know
Yes,
you've
sir.
been waiting for this.
Yep.
I think they got the best. They really bothered LeBron James in the
Yeah.
series,
I mean, I
and
will, I will, I will go, I will go off on a limb and say it wasn't just LeBron, it was Luca.
right.
Yeah, our two best players got bothered by the athleticism and the toughness of the T Wolves. And again, this goes back to the point I've been making. I mean, I've been saying this on social media. I've been calling it out, and I've been labeled a hater for it by a few friends do who are supportive and are loyal to LeBron James. I wouldn't call them Bronsexuals, but I've been labeled a hater because of this truth that I'm about to.
All right, go for it. Go for it.
I'm about.
I have some thoughts about this, but I want you to go first. Go ahead. What do you think about the performance that LeBron just gave us for this 5-game playoff series?
All right. Now again, I will go back. All right, I'll go back to our discussions here on the podcast. Like, I recognize LeBron's greatness. I recognize his talent. I recognize his skill. There's no one in the league who's as skilled and as athletic and as talented as LeBron James. That's a given. I do respect that. I do respect his game. What bothers me the most is the passiveness, the lack of a killer instinct. And again, this might be because both of us are late 90s, early 2000 kids. We may have been spoiled by having players such as Magic Johnson, Kobe, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaq, and not just spoiled by having those players wear the purple and gold, but spoiled because of just the tradition of excellence that the LA Lakers have you know have had all these years. So we're used to that. We're used to the winning. We're used to the we're used to knowing and seeing what it takes to win multiple rings. And again, I've been called a hater because I've called out LeBron James's passiveness. I've been told, be appreciative of what we have, of what we currently have as a team. But it's not gonna get us rings.
Get him. Get him.
That's the reality. The reality is mindset matters, and I've talked about this. Mindset matters, and I just see the lack of a killer instinct. Knowing that we've seen it happen in these 22 years. We've seen LeBron flip a switch and take over a game, especially in Miami. We've seen it in Miami. We've seen it 2016 Cleveland, flipping the switch and just taking over a game. We did not see any of that in this series. We saw poor shot selection. We saw lazy passes. We saw looking at the refs. I don't know if you saw this one video. I think I sent it to you where DiVincenzo hits him and he just collapses on the floor. It's that lack of killer instinct that just, as a Laker fan who's seen Kobe Bryant, who's seen Magic Johnson, don't be fooled by that smile. Magic Johnson was a tough competitor. We've seen it in those two. We've seen it in Shaq. Shaq's happy-go-lucky, but when he means business, he means business. We've seen that killer instinct from Laker greats, but we're not seeing it now. We're not seeing it with LeBron James. I'm gonna go to Luka later, but that's what I observed, and it's not the basketball that we're that we as as lifelong Laker fans have been used to seeing.
You have a point, right? Yeah, we really have a point
Yeah,
with this one. I really would agree with this one. And
yeah,
just to add to that, this team has blown so many leads in the third quarter. This team has
mm,
started off games flat with
hmm
no energy. Game one is a good example of
yeah,
this.
hmm
There were times where they just wouldn't play with any sense of urgency or
hmm
energy.
yeah,
There were games, and I'm not just okay. I want to frame this. I'm not just talking about this season. I'm talking about since 2018. Yeah, when
yeah,
this whole LeBron era started.
hmm
This is what I'm talking about.
hmm
I've seen games where they just played down to their competition, where they would play great against great teams, but then
hmm
they would suck against bad ones.
yeah,
They would be horrible against them.
right. hmm
This is a leadership issue. Just to add on to what
Oh,
you said, right? The
100%.
mindset. This is a
Yeah,
leadership issue.
attitude
We,
reflects
we
leadership.
exactly
Hands
this
down.
this this goes from the top to the bottom,
Yeah.
and I think as great a player as LeBron James is, he's just he just doesn't have that mindset that
No. Yeah.
Kobe had,
Mm-hmm.
that Magic had,
Mm-hmm.
that Shaq had, and dare I say it, that Michael Jeffrey Jordan had.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put it into perspective. We've recognized that LeBron is a goat. They're not gonna deny that
Mm-hmm.
he's a goat,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but he's not the goat.
He's not the goat. Yeah.
Okay, he's not the number
He's
one.
one of the goats. Yeah.
He's not the top of Mount Rushmore. He's not the top of Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
That goes to Michael Jordan. I don't
Yep.
care if you've never watched him play. If you haven't, you should.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing about Michael Jordan, and Kobe Bryant had this same mentality. Kobe Bryant had this same mindset. Okay? Every time they step on the court, Michael and Kobe, the number one thing they would do, even if their stats were bad, is that they would never stop trying to rip your heart
Yeah.
out of your chest.
Whether it's playing defense, whether it's going for going for just that. There's just something about that's the thing. There's something about MJ and Kobe when they stepped on the court. If you're an opponent, you'd be scared.
You fear them.
Aura of you know like
Okay?
even
I like
Iverson said it. Like I remember that story he had the first time he played against MJ. He's like he had this aura. Yeah.
Imagine if there's a Rick James kind of style sketch
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that.
yeah,
What would that
exactly.
feel like? You see a dark guy with hoop earrings
Yeah.
on and his
Yeah.
tongue out. That would be so funny.
And
But
the
listen,
thing is, yeah, it's not just the opponents having that sense of fear. Even their teammates are scared of him.
and that's kind of the difference with
Yeah.
the leadership style that
Leadership, yeah.
LeBron has versus
Mhm.
everyone we've mentioned so far, right?
Yeah.
It seems that LeBron is more of I'm the king here. You follow what I do.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say this. Blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
But you don't really see him leading via example.
Mhm.
You don't see that ruthlessness, and I think one of the things that kind of pissed me off with the series, and I'm gonna get to the numbers real quick,
Mhm.
is when in the stretch. I think it was game three. Was it game three? Game four? I think it was game three when there were 2 minutes left in the game,
Yeah.
and the Wolves were up a little bit, and the Lakers were trying to catch up.
Mhm.
LeBron James was fucking laughing with these guys. He was on the other side of the court, laughing with Conley
Yeah.
and Anthony Edwards.
He was joking
And
around Anthony Edwards.
and bro, you're down. Are you trying to win here? What are you trying to do? Why
Yeah,
are you,
what's
why are
going
you
on?
laughing with these guys right now? You
Yeah.
can do that after the game, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of encapsulating what we've seen throughout this whole year of LeBron basketball in LA is that there's just no seriousness to it. They're
Right.
trying to coast on reputation. They're trying to coast on the greatness of LeBron, and he's been great. But
Yeah.
bro, it's just frustrating coming from a fan who's seen Kobe just jockeying for position with other people, just trying to kill everyone on the court.
It's funny
To
because
see that,
Yeah, it's funny because when you mentioned when I first saw that video of him joking around with Anthony Edwards and Conley, the first thing I remember was that image of that moment at Kobe Game One of the 2010 Finals, where they first show Chris Rock and Chris Rock's like trying to talk to Kobe and then the camera zooms out, cuts to Kobe who's just
Yeah, even that
I'm not having
there
any of
was
that, you know?
there was this one moment where I think he was injured this year, and D'Lo was a rookie. And I forgot who made an exciting play in one court, and the
Uh,
camera panned to D'Lo, who was jumping up and down.
yeah,
You know D'Lo, he's a clown. He's
yeah,
just gonna do all this shit. But then it pans to Kobe, who's just dead serious.
yeah.
You know, like what the fuck? That's the thing that we miss with this team. That's the thing. That's the thing that hasn't been here since Kobe left the
The
team.
killer
Is
instinct
that
is not there. Yeah.
that kind of leadership? You remember that rant we had in practice? Y'all the softest charming, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah.
Supposed to
He
get
was
better, Mitch.
you know, they sucked that year. Obviously, he
Oh
was talking
God,
to
yeah,
Nick
yeah,
Young. He was talking to Jeremy Lin and
yeah.
whatnot. They were horrible, and he was injured. He was still bringing it, even though he was already playing on one leg and one arm at that point. You that kind of leadership has an impact on you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you could say you can point out the negatives of that kind of style, and we've seen this in the Last Dance.
Yeah.
I think it was Bill Wellington or Will Purdue who said it. I
Or
don't know
probably
whose quote
Booster.
it was,
Yeah,
but
yeah. One of them. Yeah.
I want to paraphrase it. He got asked, was he an asshole? They said, yeah.
Yeah. He was a
But
jerk. Yeah.
were we winning? Were we a team? They said, yeah.
Yeah. And
You know, that's
it elevated their games.
that. I think that's a sign
Yeah.
of a true leader. There, if
If
you're,
you're able to elevate, yeah.
it's. I know that LeBron is the best all around player in history, right?
Yeah.
We can say that with certainty at this point.
Yeah.
He's the best all around player in history. But those are just stats. Those are assists. Are you
Numbers.
really
Yeah.
making this player better for the whole season, or are you just making him look good just to get your stats?
Mm-hmm.
And I look. I hate
Yeah.
LeBron discussions because it always boils down to stats.
Yep.
But we've said this before. This version of LeBron reminds me of Wizards Jordan. Okay, but
Yep.
and even so, that fucking Wizards Jordan was playing on one leg his last season and still played 82 games and still gave it his all.
Yeah.
With LeBron James, it kind of seems that he will coast certain parts of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it comes from the point that he does have that switch.
Yeah.
Well, at least used to. I want to stress that he used to have that switch. It's not there anymore, guys.
Yep.
It's over.
Yep.
Okay, it's over. It's not gonna come back. That LeBron you saw in Cleveland
Mm-hmm.
in 2014. That LeBron you saw in Miami.
Yeah.
Rookie LeBron, that's
Yeah.
gone. This is who he is now. Who he is. It's a 40-year-old guy whose main source of offense is either bulldozing through the hoop, using his athleticism or whatever it's left, bulldozing through the hoop for shots, or taking contested 3s. That's his offense now.
Yeah. And I don't know if and correct me if I'm wrong. And I know but I remember that he said at the beginning of the season was the motivation was to play with Bronny. And if that's the case, that was his motivation. Then his whole 2024 25 NBA season to do list was checked off opening
He's
night.
good. Yeah, he forced that move too, by the way. Okay.
He forced that move.
All right, Bronny James is not an NBA player. He shouldn't be on an NBA roster. He shouldn't be on a guaranteed NBA deal, but he is it's all because of his dad and his influence on the team. I'm going to talk about this later, but
Yeah.
I just want to stay on point with the T-Wolves series.
Yeah.
You can't call yourself a GOAT if you're scoreless in the fourth with nothing to show for it, like he was in Game 4, and like he was in the last 5 or 6 minutes of Game 3, the one we just talked about.
Yep.
I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you're injured. You're supposed to be at least giving a fuck out there when you're supposed to be the GOAT.
Yep.
You're supposed to be the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you're going through. You're supposed to be doing that. We're not supposed to applaud you scoring in the fourth or scoring this many points when that's the expectation to begin with.
That is your job.
That is what you're supposed to be doing.
That is what your teammates are looking for you to do.
And-
It doesn't have to be scoring. Like just the presence and like we
Just
mentioned
give a
earlier,
fuck.
the
Just
presence
give
in
a
the
damn.
game. Yeah, like Kobe in games, one of his best games ever. Game 7 of the 2010 finals against the Celtics. Bad shooting night for Kobe. Bad shooting night.
And what did he do?
Got
He
his
just
points in the
powered
fourth
through the
quarter.
line, getting
Got
rebounds.
15 rebounds. Kobe got 15 rebounds in that game. Made the game-winning assist to Meta World Peace. Made the key assist to Fisher. So it's that influence that you have on the games. What we're looking for with LeBron, and we didn't see it.
I've
You
never
know,
seen it. I would be honest with you. I've never seen
yeah,
it. Maybe it was in the bubble when they were all focused on the game. Maybe that's the thing.
yeah,
When they were just ravaging through the league. But on a normal day, on a normal season, since then I've never seen it.
no,
It's been horrible to watch this era of the Lakers, just because of the fact that they have a tendency to start games flat. They have a tendency of letting teams back in the third quarter.
right,
They have a tendency of fake comebacks just to pad stats.
right,
That's the thing that pisses me the most about
yeah,
this Lakers team right now.
yeah,
And I was so happy that they got Luka because they no longer have to cater for LeBron. Really,
yeah.
they can say fuck you, LeBron. If you leave, if you want to leave, go for it. We have Luka now. But I don't know if you followed the recent news about this team.
Yeah.
So just to frame it, last offseason, LeBron, there were rumors, and I don't think this is even official. There were rumors. So Windhorse reported it. A lot of media outlets reported it. That LeBron James was willing to take a pay cut for the Lakers to get a non-taxpayer mid-level exception, but only for very specific players and during a very specific time period. Like, if you're gonna do that, why are you even broadcasting your game plan throughout the whole
Right.
league?
Yeah.
Why are you even doing that? If you really want to do it, then fucking do it. This is all for show.
My thing is with him, and this has been something that I've questioned throughout his whole career. Is 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 it you can't consider yourself the GOAT if you insist on building a super team, and that's the way you win championships when you're with like a big three. And let's take a look. Let's take a look at his first 3 rings. Not the bubble championship. I knew he had AD, but that's it. We just played great team basketball. All right. But let's look at his first 3 rings. The two in Miami, he had Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and not just that. That was a team where if everyone was in their prime, that would have been a dream team. Sean Marion, Ray Allen, Shane Battier, Mario Chalmers, Birdman. That would have been a stacked team from 1 to probably 10. And then you have that Cleveland team where, okay, I'm comfortable coming back to Cleveland because they have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love.
Well, not really. They had Kyrie Irving and the number 1 pick, which they used to trade for Kevin Love. He wouldn't have gone to Cleveland if Kevin Love wasn't there. Let's make that point, right? If Cleveland only had Kyrie Irving and a shitty first round pick, that shit wouldn't have happened.
No,
because there was gonna be no reason for him.
No,
but go on.
So yeah, I mean, like, what's the news now? What are we hearing through the grapevine? Oh,
right.
He's already plotting to get Giannis.
Look, so at the very least, what I've read is that so the pay cut that he took, well, at least might have took last time, is probably not going to happen. A, and number 2, he might not even finish his career in Los Angeles. He might not. He's doing what he's been doing since 2010. Really, it's just
if he declines the option, then
he's using his contract to force moves for the team. That's it. That's how he pushed that for that stupid Westbrook trade that kind of essentially got us to this point in the first place. Thank you, LeBron. Okay, this is his fault. Why we're even in this shitty position in the first place? If he just shut his mouth and let the Buddy Hield trade, which was
Mm-hmm.
that was just Kuzma and Montrez. That's it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have lost the depth that they
No.
did, even though Buddy
No.
Hield would probably have been a mistake.
Yeah.
That's beside the point.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have lost KCP.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have lost Alex.
Mm-hmm.
They still would have had assets to make deals for other people.
Right.
But LeBron decided, all right, fuck it. Brooklyn has a super team now. I want one more again. So he forced that Westbrook trade under the guise of, okay, if you don't trade for Westbrook, my extension year, I'm going to leave, blah, blah, blah. That's what he does. This is what he's done for years. That's why he left Miami in the first
It's
place.
essentially almost like blackmailing.
It is blackmailing. That's what he's doing,
Yeah.
right? You can make the point that sure, Pelinka is the gold general manager, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, is Pelinka gonna play chicken with you? Right? It's just a losing game. Might as well go through it. And LeBron cannot wash that stain of the Westbrook trade on his legacy.
No.
Right? He forced the worst trade in Lakers history by getting Westbrook. And now what is he doing? He forced the Lakers to draft his son and give him a guaranteed contract. His son, by the way, is useless. Sorry, I know he's been through a lot. Best of luck to him, but he's not an NBA player.
No.
The only reason why he's on his team is because of his daddy. That's it. And he's on a guaranteed deal. He's not in a two-way.
Yeah. It's not a,
Right?
it's a guaranteed deal. A spot that would have been reserved for someone else who had more, who has more talent and more skill.
As in,
Bottom
bro,
line.
Bronny was getting outplayed by G Leaguers, by two-way players.
Right.
Okay? You got Jordan Goodwin, who eventually got on the team because he's just that good. You got Trey Jemison, who should have been on that playoffs roster, or Christian Coloco should have been on that playoffs
Loco
roster.
should have been there, yeah.
But they didn't have any roster spots open because Bronny was taking one of them. Okay? I'll go out on a limb. Cam Reddish would have been useful in this Minnesota series more than Bronny James.
Oh, 100%.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't care. They could have played him with defense, right? Alex Len was useless. I think that was just a politics thing. They couldn't cut him because they promised him a spot, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But again, you could have had Jemison or Coloco, but you have Bronny James instead. Who fucking who? That's what happened. Now, what is he trying to do? We all know that LeBron is a player option, right? The most probable scenario is he's going to decline that player option and will force the Lakers again to give him a max. Maybe a +1/+1, so they can draft his son Bryce next. There's gonna be shit. A lot of Laker fans don't want to say this, and I know we're gonna be branded haters after this. I don't really give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see LeBron James leave or retire. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
In these contract negotiations, the Lakers, I don't think they're gonna do this just for the fact that the Lakers preach loyalty to their superstars, and like it or not, LeBron has the Lakers legacy in there, right? So,
I mean, he gave us a bubble ring. He gave us a bubble ring.
He gave us a ring.
To prove that I'm not hating on LeBron James, I will defend that team with everything I have. Because people say, "Oh, it's a Mickey Mouse championship. Oh, there's an asterisk on that, on that ring." No, like we were playing through. Remember, this team was playing through a pandemic. This team was playing through them being separated from their families, not seeing their families in 3-4 months. This team was playing through racial injustice because that was the height of the George Floyd protests. This team was playing through Kobe's passing. There was so much
shit.
There's so much shit that was in front of this team, and they still won the championship. So again, that I will defend that bubble ring with everything I have.
Look, I love LeBron James, the player. I love watching him play. Right? I think his tomahawk, the one he goes on the side with and just goes, that's just a classic look, right? That's amazing to watch. He's one of the best all-around players. We've already said that. He's a GOAT. But I just absolutely fucking hate the shit he does off the court. I hate the machinations. I hate all this legitiming shit.
Yeah.
I hate his fans, really. It's just horrible to just...
Yeah, it's like
just watch him
whatever
do this.
influence you have off the court with all these yeah, like you mentioned, all these machinations, all this GM stuff, that influence should be translated on the court.
Yeah, and
You know?
I know we don't have a lot of watchers yet, and I understand that, but to any LeBron fan watching this, I just want to ask you a question: how much help does LeBron need, bro? He's supposed to be the GOAT.
Yeah.
How much help does he need? You say he's 40. People say, "Oh, he's doing all this shit at 40. He's scoring all these points at 40." Okay, but you can't use that same argument to try to shield him from shitty games. You
And
can't say that
yeah.
he's good at 40 while blaming his bad games due to his age. It's
As
just
I
not.
mentioned,
Yeah.
the issue lies where the numbers don't tell the story. You know, that's where the issue lies where the numbers don't tell the story. I mean, they'll always point the argument. Oh wait, but Jordan didn't. Jordan needed Scottie Pippen to win. No, that's the thing. Aaron Spears said it best. All right, Scottie Pippen and on the Bulls was an interchangeable piece. You could put anyone there. Dominic Wilkins, Penny Hardaway, Latrell Sprewell, any like small forward from that era. Who else like freaking Plastic Man, Stacey Ogman. You can put any of those top small forwards in that position of Scottie Pippen, and they still would have won 6 championships.
Bro, Jordan was scoring 40,
Just,
50 without a supporting cast, man. What are you gonna say?
dude, like
A lot of people
yeah.
point to that 2007 run, and I
Yeah.
think that's one of the best LeBron performances ever, just because of
Oh,
the fact that he dragged that sorry ass team to the finals. I
25
don't care if
straight
they got
points
swept.
against the Pistons.
He was just
Like,
good.
that's the
That
LeBron
was
we're looking for. You
that's what
know?
I want. That's what I
Yeah.
want, right? That kind of LeBron.
Yeah.
This LeBron that we got, right? Look, in the fourth quarter of Game 4, he had 0 points, and he only attempted 2 shots.
Oh my
That's
god.
Game 4.
Yeah.
That's a must-win game.
Yeah.
If you're a GOAT, you shouldn't be given that kind of performance out.
Yeah.
There's just no sense of urgency with him. And maybe, look, maybe his age is really catching up to him. Maybe his body is really failing him. As we've
Right.
seen, his shots have really veered towards just threes and layups, really.
Yeah.
Okay? Maybe that's that. But you shouldn't be asking for a fucking max salary, bro. You're not supposed to be getting that.
Yeah.
You can't ask for more help while still demanding that much in salary. Because if you do that, you're always going to be underperforming your contract,
Yeah. Right.
right? The reason why
Right.
this Lakers team is good is because you have a look at Austin Reeves, who's being paid $13 million. He doesn't play like he's being paid $13 million.
No.
He's playing like an all-star.
Yeah.
That's at least 25,
Yeah.
right? You see Luka. Luka's playing. Yeah, Luka's a max contract player, obviously, but he's playing. The way he's playing. He should he should be paid more. That's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
have to. The problem with LeBron asking for a max, like what he's trying to do now, and asking for more help, is that where's that money gonna come from in the salary cap sport?
Right.
The reason
You're
why
putting
we're in
teams,
this.
You're putting teams on a hole right now, because of the salary cap restrictions.
With the more restrictive apron rules, it's even harder.
Yeah.
And why did those apron rules exist? Because you went out and formed super teams wherever you went, and when Golden State did it, because they had cap space, fucked the whole game up for everybody else,
Yeah.
and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
They don't want super teams anymore, bro.
No.
They don't want teams having multiple max players in their roster anymore. That's not going to work. I don't know if LeBron knows that. He probably does. He's the smartest player I've ever seen. I think he just doesn't want to win anymore. I think he's done. I think he just wants to coast out in his career and just go for a victory lap, whatever that is.
And if that's the case, and if that's the case, this is what I'm watching Aaron Spears say it. If this is where the story ends, one bubble ring with the Lakers, your son, who doesn't deserve a guaranteed contract, is on the team, then let's just shut down the GOAT
Yeah,
debate.
you can't call
Let's just
yourself
shut
a
it
GOAT,
down.
man. Okay, you're LeBron and his fans are treating him like the second coming of Jesus, right? But here's the thing, man. there is already a second coming of Jesus. His name is Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the Black
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, there's you can't put yourself above Jordan if this is going to be the case for
No.
your legacy. No.
No.
A lot of people say, "Oh, LeBron reached multiple finals, blah 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 blah," but he lost a lot more than he
4 and
won.
6.
That's the problem.
Don't tell me
4
that 6 and 0 is worse than 4 and 6.
You can't. You can't.
No.
Jordan won 6. Never
Yeah.
lost in the final.
Yeah.
Never lost.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you can't. You can't call yourself the GOAT because of that.
Yeah, like, oh, he's the all-time greatest scorer. Of course, he's the all-time greatest scorer. If you've been playing 20 straight years without any
Played
gaps,
22
of
years.
course you're gonna surpass everyone.
Jordan did it in less games.
Yeah.
If he played, Jordan, I think Jordan's career average was 30 or something like that.
Mm.
If he played
Yeah,
more
yeah.
with the years that you did, you'd have more too. This is how it is.
Yeah.
That's the problem with LeBron James is just counting stats and shit. It's just not enough. What I want to see from LeBron, and I don't know if we're ever going to see it, is I just want him to display that kind of. He says that he likes Kobe. He says that he idolizes Kobe. Whatever. Then show it. Show it.
Prove it.
Show that mentality. Show that Mamba
yeah.
mentality. I hate using the word, but show that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which brings us to Luka. So Luka got exposed, and we knew that when we got Luka, one big concern about his game was his defense.
Yep.
And it kind of showed. And JJ Redick comes over, and in his most recent press conference saying, we have to get into championship shape.
You think it was him? Do you think he was talking to Luka? You think that was Luka?
Windy, Stephen A, Jay Will, they all think it was.
Really?
They all think it was going toward Luka. But
I think
I think it's a civil way to put it. He's not really singling out anyone. But we kind of saw that, Luka was pretty much,
Okay.
I don't know. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that Luka Doncic was out of shape?
I would say yes and no here. And let me explain why.
Yeah.
So, we all know he was coming off injury.
Yeah.
Right? He was coming off a horrible injury. I'm guessing that had a factor.
Yeah.
But we've seen Luka just play multiple minutes and just take over games.
Yeah.
It doesn't. We're not going out on a limb when we say that Luka is a great scorer and can take over a game. We're not exaggerating. That has happened.
Yeah.
I think what happened here is that they played well in the initial games that they had Luka, and they thought that, okay, we have a chance. I think we have a chance to win now. But I know that we had expectations, you and me even. I think we're part of this as well, is that we said that they might reach conference finals, the ceiling and the floor, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at it objectively, when they made that trade for Luka, obviously they have a big goal at center, which got exposed in the Minnesota series.
Right.
They tried Mark Williams, rescinded that because it was just too high of a risk. And they were saying, these reports, Dave McMenamin essentially just said what we thought, that the Lakers saw something in that physical. He never even suited up. He never gave him jersey or whatever.
No.
And they saw that the medical was bad enough to just say, you know what, we're giving up too much for this guy.
Yeah.
As good as he is now. That says a lot, right? And I think people talked about that as well. If the Lakers weren't serious about winning, why would they rescind that trade? Right? It's just, look, Mark Williams would have been good, but if he's injured most of the time, then they have AD on a budget. This is not worth it.
Yeah.
Now, I think they played well enough together, and they exceeded expectations when they started winning, for first getting Luka. And it kind of masked the fact that, this team doesn't have a center. They made Jackson Hayes look serviceable. They made Jackson Hayes look like he's a starting NBA center when he's not. He's never been that. And the Wolves just exposed that this series.
Oh, yeah.
So,
100%.
With that being said, right, I think we need to center our expectations a little bit, especially now coming into free agency, that they need to get a center that would play well with Luka and not LeBron. I think the play is they have to try to build the team now for the long term. And I think when they rescinded that Mark Williams trade, it gave us an insight of what their thinking is now. I think they're on the same page with us when we say they're looking towards building more for the future than building short term.
Right.
Because if they just wanted to build now, they should have said, okay, fuck it, let's take Mark Williams, see where it leads us.
Yeah.
Let's win now, maybe. Right? Mm-hmm. But the fact that they kept long-term assets means that they're trying to go for long-term, which I'm pretty hopeful for.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, there's a big deadline coming soon with Luka. We know that he's eligible to sign an extension on the 2nd of August.
Right.
Now, Lakers have essentially given him carte blanche what to do. You know, they gave him a black check.
Yep.
They gave Luka a black check, told him just fill it out however he wanted, return it back, sign it, and then we're done. But they also have to build a team. And there's some guys that I hope they would target. One of them is Steven Adams. I think that they should try. Steven Adams is an unrestricted free agent they should try to get. But only if they can get him for a backup.
Yeah.
That would essentially answer their rebounding effort. Yeah,
given Steven Adams' age, I think he's more like it's backup. Yeah. He's better in the backup role right now. Yeah.
If they can get it for cheap, maybe a little bit more than 7-8 million, that would be great. But with a probable free agent move, off-season move, they're probably gonna do is I think the Nick Claxton trade is what they're going for. Now, they have a lot of expired contracts. They have Rui at 18, I believe. They have Gabe at 11 million, and they have Maxi Kleber at around that amount as well. That alone can get them Nick Claxton, but obviously they got to sweeten the pot a little bit. What my prediction here is that they trade a combination of Rui, Gabe, and Maxi, plus add Dalton, and a couple of picks, maybe a swap to send it to the Nets for Nick Claxton. I think that's what they're gonna try to do. That's my prediction. Yeah, and hopefully LeBron takes a pay cut. I know he said that he will, but hopefully he takes a pay cut so they can have access to the mid-level exception.
Right.
And then they can go crazy from there. They got to rebuild this offseason. And what Rob has said, I think Rob knows, obviously, so we'll just wait for that.
Yep.
So that's that. The Lakers season over. They're off to Cancun. They're off to Boracay. They're done. Who do you think is going to win now? Who do you think is the favorite to win now?
If I had to put my money on like both conferences or who
do you think wins the championship now?
As much as I think that
I think we're on the same page with that. Go ahead.
The Celtics are gonna get their 19th.
Yeah, I think the Leprechauns are gonna. The Leprechauns is it's their championship to lose at this point, really.
Yeah.
It all depends on the Cavs, really.
Yeah, I do want to see an OKC Cleveland final.
I don't trust OKC's youth to help them in these playoffs, and I don't think Cleveland, while they might stretch the series, I don't think they have enough to beat the Celtics yet. Yeah, Cleveland has been great. Yeah, and hey, LeBron might go there, but that's another story for another day. Now that's the NBA. I think the Celtics are gonna win it too. Yeah. Okay, let's touch upon this real quick. Obviously, we both love music. Yep. Both music guys. We started off with... Did you start off with rap like I did?
Yeah.
I know we started.
Did I start off with rap? I think I did, yeah.
So, I just been paying attention. What?
The first album I ever bought with my own money was All Eyes on Me.
I remember that. I borrowed that from you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I remember that. I was just listening to that, and I remember borrowing your cassette for that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, the first one I bought was shout out to my friend Sam for this. He was the one who got me into this. But the first tape I bought was Snoop Doggy Dogg Doggy Style.
Oh,
that was it. I just listened to that tape start to finish, and I just got hooked. Yeah. So reason why I bring it up is they finally announced who's going into the 2025 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Ooh, okay, all right.
Now,
25.
Last year I was pretty happy because they inducted one of my favorite groups of all time last year. So Tribe Called Quest was there.
Yeah.
So I was pretty stoked. They had they had Cool in the Gang there as well, which I
Right.
liked.
Uh-huh.
And bro, Foreigner.
Yeah.
They inducted Foreigner
Yeah.
and DMB.
And Dave Matthews. Yeah.
Yeah, that was last year. So this year is a pretty interesting list.
Who you
Let's
got this
run through.
week?
So they got Chubby Checker,
The
and
twist.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know who the guy is, right? I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. I don't know who the guy is, but
Uh-huh.
I know the songs, man. He's the one that sang those twist songs.
Do the twist. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
him. Yeah.
so that's him. They got they got Cyndi Lauper. Obviously, we all know
Right.
Cyndi Lauper.
Yes.
Girls just want to have
Wanna
fun,
have fun.
time
True
after time.
colors. Yeah.
A classic.
Yep.
We got Joe Cocker, man.
Mm.
Joe Cocker.
So
So
he help
he,
from my friends.
yes, shout out to the Wonder Years. Love that show,
Yep.
man.
Wonder
One of
Years.
the best shows ever.
Best,
And
one of the best coming of age shows, hands down.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I still try to watch that every now and then.
Yeah.
It's still great, man. It's
Yeah.
just an amazing show. And I didn't even know he sang one of the most popular love songs I know, man. Up where we belong. I didn't know he was on that song, dude.
From one of my mom's favorite movies, An Officer and a Gentleman.
What?
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I was just listening to the songs. I was like, oh, Joe Cocker was so saying. And you got Bad Company, right?
Yeah, Bad Company. Yeah.
I don't know if you watch Supernatural. Do you the show?
No.
So Supernatural is it's kind of like a Monster of the Week show. It's about two brothers, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mythology in it. And there's a lot of
Interesting.
they started out with Christian mythology,
Uh-huh.
and they just inched way toward weird shit. It's pretty fun, trust me. It's
Right.
one of my favorite shows. Well, one of the things about that show, and one of the things I'm grateful for with that show,
Yeah.
is that the main motif of it is that they ride around in an Impala owned by their dad. And the premise of the music part of the show is that his dad loved classic rock.
Yeah.
So that's all they listened to, really. So the soundtrack for that show introduced me to so many bands that I listen to now. Okay, so Bad Company was one of them.
Yeah.
So given the fact that they're classic rock, essentially, is
Yeah.
one of them, right? So it's fun hearing classic rock songs on that show. I don't know if you've watched that, but go ahead and watch it if you have the time.
Yeah.
So, and the next group inducted are the White Stripes.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yep.
The White Stripes, obviously, it's man. You know what? I love Seven Nation Army, but it just got played out.
It's very played out. Yeah.
It's just every arena that you see.
Jack White's still one of the best guitarists of our generation. Yeah, but that song's very played out. Yeah.
Okay, so when you say the best guitarists of our generation, who would be on that
One of
list
the-
then?
I would say, like growing up, right? Because you have the greats, you have Hendrix, those are like on the top of Mount Rushmore of guitar players. Hendrix, Jimmy Page, Clapton. But our generation would probably be Jack White. I would say also The Edge from U2.
Right.
Yeah. I would say who else? I would say Tom Morello. It's one of them as
Yes.
well. Yeah. Definitely. Let's see on the top of my head. I'm trying to,
Yeah, just go on top of your head. Top of your head. Who do you think should be on that list? We're talking about recent music.
Yeah.
Let me give you a name.
Yeah.
Give you a name. One of my favorite.
Yeah.
John Mayer.
Oh, hands
John
down.
Mayer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
I've had the privilege of watching him twice now, and it's been great, man.
I've had the privilege of my wife and I watched him at the Forum, and also when we saw Billy Joel at the Intuit Dome, he brought him out. So yeah.
That's great. This is I think it was a 2007 album or something.
Mm-hmm.
He had a live album. I think the name of the album is Where the Light Is.
Where the Light Is.
So
Yeah.
it's a live show, one of the best ones
Mm-hmm.
I've ever heard. As far as that set has the best version of Neon that I've ever listened to in my life,
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So I would say that's
Yeah.
one of my favorite live albums too.
Yep. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I would also say John Frusciante, definitely.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm so
One
glad
of
he
my
went back. I'm so
one of
glad
my
he went back
wife's
to the
favorite
Peppers.
bands of all time, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I remember. I think I do think I borrowed your tape of Blood Sugar Sex Magic back in back in grade school. Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, I'm so happy that he went back. Really,
Yeah.
it's just the sound was just weird without him,
Without
and
him,
I'm
yeah.
just I know the Peppers are getting old now, but
Yeah.
that Frusciante sound is what I like
Yeah.
about that song.
Shout out to
He brought a lot
Flea.
of funk to
Yeah.
it too.
Yeah. Shout out to Flea, the best bassist of our generation.
Right?
Die
Look,
hard Laker
I
fan.
love. He is a Laker fan.
Yeah.
I love One Hot Minute. A lot of people don't like
One Hot
that
Minute's a
record.
great album. Yeah.
It's a great album, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a different sound, but I'm just happy that John Frusciante is back with the
Right.
Peppers. Cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so the
who else
next
is
one
from? Yeah.
is the next group that's gonna be inducted, and this is a bittersweet one. Soundgarden.
Oh.
Soundgarden is being inducted. So
Yeah.
obviously one of the best that came out of the Seattle grunge scene as well,
Yep.
and that voice, man, Chris Cornell's
Chris
voice is
Cornell.
just it's probably one of the most unique voices you're gonna hear
Right.
in music. Him
Yeah.
playing with, it was great. I remember the hype I felt when they announced what Audio Slave was,
Oh,
and when I heard that first song that they
Audio
put out.
Audio Slave was killer. That first album.
That first album was great. Yeah,
My
it's
favorite
just
song of that album is "Show Me How to Live."
me too.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Nice, nice, nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's probably I still like a Stone just for the fact that Chris Cornell's vocals really just signed.
Yeah.
But the day but yeah, Show Me How to Live is just that. It was the apart from their first single, right? The first
Yeah.
one,
Cochise.
Cochise.
Yeah.
Show Me How to Live just had that Rage Against the Machine
Yeah.
vibe, but with the Chris Cornell
With the
twist.
Chris Cornell voice, yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm glad
why.
they're getting their. I'm glad they're getting their due. Yeah, Soundgarden. Yeah, that was long overdue.
Yeah, man, they just had a.
Mm.
I think they had a tribute. One they had a tribute concert with a lot of people playing their songs.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So, and the last group, and this is very very special to me, another hip hop
yeah.
group being inducted, Outkast,
Outcast.
Big Boy, and
Yeah.
Andre 3K,
Andre 3K. Oh
and
my
Big Boy
goodness.
finally inducted.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that performance really because
yeah.
they haven't performed in a while.
Mhm.
So if they ended up performing together again, and look, man, I know that Andre 3000 has said that he's kind of finished with the rap stuff.
Right.
I hope they break it. I hope they reunite
Yeah.
whenever that is. I'm gonna be watching this
I mean, what? Yeah.
this
I mean, watching it. Yeah.
ceremony and
Yep.
hope that they reunite because I was a bit disappointed when Rage got inducted a couple years back,
Mhm.
and Tom Morello just showed up and didn't do
Yeah.
anything. They
They
just
didn't do
made a
anything.
speech.
Yeah. Mm.
I was just hoping that they would play something because
Yeah.
obviously they're one of our favorite bands too.
Yep.
But yeah, let's. I'm gonna be watching that that induction in 2025. Hopefully,
Right.
we get to see Outkast perform and
Yeah.
see what happens there.
Aquemini is one of the best hip hop albums. Like their first,
Bro, they can't miss.
Yeah,
they can't
they
miss.
can't
Look, you can start with that. AT Aliens.
AT Aliens. Yeah.
Yeah, even the first Outkast album was great. And
Yeah.
then obviously you got Stankonia.
Yeah. Stankonia. Yep.
Stankonia, one of the great albums. And then Love Below and the double
Bigger
album they
Box
had.
Love Below. Yeah.
Yeah, the Speaker Box Love Below. Even though I think they were broken up at that time already, so they kind of stunk. But
Yeah.
it was still a great album. Outkast hasn't missed really.
Much respect to them. Yeah.
I think Outkast has one of the greatest discographies of any rap group ever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if I were to, dude, I'll put him over Tribe Called Quest. To be honest with you,
Wow.
I love Tribe.
Yeah.
I love De La Soul. Love those groups. But if I had to rank them, I put Outkast at the top of them.
Outcast. Yeah.
Right. It's just look.
Interesting.
Andre 3000 is one of my favorite MCs ever, and I just hope he makes music again because
Yeah.
he's just too good, man.
Stepped away
He's
from
just
the
too
game.
good.
Yeah.
I want to play a song here, but I just
Yeah.
don't want it to be, I don't want videos taken down, whatever. But
Uh-huh.
if you're ever not convinced as to how good Outkast is, go to Spotify right now, go to
Uh-huh.
YouTube, and look for a song called the International Players Anthem by UGK featuring Outkast.
Right.
So the first verse of that is Andre 3000.
Right.
And if you're not convinced that Andre is one
Uh-huh.
of the best MCs, hopefully that convinces you.
Yeah.
Because the first verse of that song is just classic Andre. All right.
Yeah.
That's probably it for this week.
Right.
We obviously have the playoffs going on, and we're going to be looking at, I know they're going to be talking about the Lakers, so we're
Right.
going to look about that. But
Oh yeah.
let's see what the playoffs bring. I'm looking forward to that Houston Golden State game tomorrow. Who you got before you go?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think the Warriors are gonna pull it out.
You thinking the Warriors are going to
The
get it?
experience, yeah. I think we're gonna see playoff Steph. Like by this time, I know Houston's defended him very well, so I think he's gonna find a way to adjust. And yeah, I mean, if the Rockets win, that's gonna be big. That's gonna be a big boost for that young core. Especially guys like Jalen Green, Sengun, that's gonna be big, But I think Golden State's gonna pull it off.
Yeah, that's my thought as well.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a close game,
Yeah,
but Curry's just too good. I think
It's gonna be
Curry's
close,
going to find a way to
Right.
navigate through that defense and get them to win.
Yeah.
Face the Minnesota Timberwolves in the next round.
Yep.
Should have been us, but it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Mhm.
That's it for today. That's how we got.
That's it.
And thank you.
All
If
right.
you're watching, thank you, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Cheers.